Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Pass Pro Podcast. I'm your host, Nigel Cornelius, and if you haven't read the description already, then this is a podcast where I talk about all things football that I want to talk about. Just before we start, a little bit about me. I'm, a university student. I started playing football when I was 9. Football is, I think, not even arguably, it is my favorite sport. Die-hard Packers fan, anything Packers, but also just a big football fan in general. So, with week 17 just ending around the corner, the playoffs are now set, super wild card weekend starts in 2 days. I thought I'd give my playoff picks this week, as well as look into the world of betting and, talking about teams covering the spread and where you might want to be able to put some money to make some money, possible upsets. Just before disclaimer, I am in no way a bookie or any type of gambling expert. These are just my opinions. If you lose money taking my advice, well, that's your bad. But before we get to that, we're going to look at the playoff bracket and just go through my picks. So, we'll start with the NFC. As a Packers fan, I love this. The Green Bay Packers are the 1 seed at 13-3, meaning they get a first round bye this week. God, I can't wait just to sit down and watch playoff football without having to worry, oh no, what happens? What's going to happen to my team? Because I don't even have to worry about playing until next week. It's wicked. So the first matchup is between the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears. New Orleans Saints were 12-4 and have the 2 seed in the NFC, while the Chicago Bears snuck into the playoffs at 8-8 thanks to a Arizona Cardinals loss. If I'm going to be honest picking here, this is the Saints. It's going to be close considering earlier in the year, though the Saints were banged up, the Bears kept it close with Nick Foles. And even though Mitch Trubisky's not what people would call a great QB, he's better than Nick Foles. I was saying that before when the trade was done. I said they're stupid, and then when they benched him, I said you're stupid. Nick Foles might, he went on that nice playoff run in Philadelphia, and nobody's shitting on him for that. But Mitch Trubisky's more mobile, so with the fact that the Bears have a bad O-line, you can roll Mitch around to simplify the reads to half the field. It's what the LA Rams do with Jared Goff, which is a team I'll talk about later, for example, is when you roll a quarterback out to the right, they are not likely to throw back towards the middle or the left side of the field. So when you roll that quarterback out, you thereby simplify their reads because they only have half the field. They don't have to look left. They don't have to progress from left to right or right to left. They just right what's there. And then they're out of the pocket. Mitch has legs, so Mitch could run. He then is out of the pocket, so he can throw it away without intentional grounding. It's just when they roll Mitch out, it allows for more plays. And the Saints defense been good lately. Drew Brees has been looked rough it's looked rough all year. His arm talent is really down. Drew's expected to retire after this year. Not calling Drew a bad QB, but if there's a year the Saints aren't going to make it far in the playoffs because of his play, it's going to be this year. I think the Saints go on top of that, though I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game or if it's a Bears upset. Next game is between the 12-4 3 seed Seattle Seahawks and the 9-7 or 10-6. Either 9-7 or 10-6. I can't remember. LA Rams, this team I talked about earlier, this is a matchup solely based on if Jared Goff plays. I know if you look back a few weeks, the Rams lost to Seattle, but if you look back early in the year, the Rams dominated Seattle. Honestly, the Seattle offense has looked awful lately. Their O-lines look awful. Sean McVay rarely loses to a team twice in a season. He's a really smart coach. Personally, if there's a game I'm gonna take the Rams upset confidently, it's gonna be this one. I don't mind taking the Rams upset here. Call me crazy, call me stupid. If they lose, you can come back to this. It's gonna be a close game, but if there's a game that I just feel confident in the LA Rams take an upset in, it's this one. Because the Seattle has been a fair weather team all year. They've had Russ was playing great at the start of the year, Russ Cook, and then he kind of fell back down to earth and played mediocre like he does every year. But again, I've said it before, if there's a game, that I'm taking, it's that. Just the Rams are 10-6. I just looked it up. The Rams, if there's no Jared Goff, I might take the Seahawks, or if they get Cooper Kupp back and Jared Goff's been practicing, I'm going to take the Rams. I might be wrong. I should have a feeling. And then the final game in the NFC right now, Washington football team at the 4 seed, 7-9 record, won the shithole that is the NFC East, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is an interesting game. It's the primetime Saturday night game. It's not the Nickelodeon game that the Saints and Bears play. But the Bucs have looked awful in primetime. Brady hasn't played well in primetime, but the Bucs are riding a hot streak. Washington's offense hasn't been great, but they are a 5-1 football team with Alex Smith, as well as a defense that is top 5 in almost every metric. I believe they're top 5 in points allowed. They're top 5 in passing for sure. I think they're just outside top 5 in rushing. They have a lethal young front 7 with Chase, rookie stud defensive player, defensive rookie of the year. Chase Young. Then in the middle they have, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne. They're I think he's in his 3rd year. 2 stud tackles, and even then they have a 3rd stud tackle in Matthew Ioannidis. And then on the other side they have last year's fall of the draft. Had some heart issues that turned out to be fake, so he got felled to them, was Montez Sweat. Those 4 are brutal. And if you can get the playoffs, one thing that's been proven, if you can get pressure on Brady, he's not winning. That's how Denver beat him those years. Denver was hitting him 15 times in the games. They weren't all sacks, but you were getting in his face. So if they can do that, that is huge. And they also, Tampa Bay's likely missing Mike Evans, so that leaves Ronald Darby and Kendall Fuller to now only have to cover Chris Godwin and AB, Antonio Brown. So if the Bucs are to win this game, I still think they will, though I could see a Washington upset. I think what's going to have to happen is Gronk is going to have to dial the age back some years and really punish the weaker linebacker core of Reuben Foster and Cole Holcomb for Washington. So I have the Bucs winning that, but that's another one that could upset. So into the second round, I would have the Packers, the 1 seed Packers playing the 6 seed Rams. I'm taking the Packers in that one. I know I'm a Packers fan, but we have the number 1 offense in the NFL in points per game base with the MVP at quarterback and a defense that finished top 10 in total yards, and that has played exceptionally well in the back half of this year. Letting guys like Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos have been PFF, which is Pro Football Focus, highest graded safety pair since week 10. Darius Smith is one of the best edge rushers in the league. Preston Smith has had a down year, but the emergence of second-year player Rashawn Gary has been huge. Kenny Clark is one of the best nose tackles in the league. To help stop the run, we brought in Damon Snacks Harrison. Then you have Jair Alexander playing the best corner in the league. Chris Barnes, the UFDA undrafted free agent at linebacker's been nice. Nobody can guard Devontae Adams. Robert Tonyan, big as we call him, Big Bob's been huge. Not to say the Rams aren't a good team, and as much as the Packers O-line's been one of the best in the league, so as much as Aaron Donald scares me, if there's a team I think that can handle him, it's going to be this Green Bay Packers team. I think the Packers win that game. And then in the bottom bracket, we have the Saints and the Buccaneers. I'm taking the Saints. This has been a matchup problem for the Buccaneers all year. Both times they were dominated by the Saints. They don't match up well. The second time they played, they put out the Bucs were dominated. First time it was a little close, but you give Brady the break. It's his first time in a new system, no offseason. But the second time, that was pure domination by the Saints. As much as I dislike the Saints, they're beating the Bucs. I think they're beating the Bucs. So that brings you to the NFC Championship game, Saints versus Packers. Again, give me the Saints. Drew Brees can't throw the deep ball. The Packers are going to get to Drew Brees, make him uncomfortable, and then nobody can stop the Packers' offense. The Saints' defense has been wish-washy. I honestly just don't think there's a team in the NFC that can beat the Packers. That is I know it's, you're going to say, oh, you're biased, it's a fan, but when you look at the teams, you look at the numbers, Tampa Bay is the only team I think that could maybe give them a run if you look at it earlier in the year. But even then, this Packers team that played the Bucs in Week 6 is a completely different team. And then people are going to bring up strength of schedule, but just to let you know, the Packers are 4-2 against playoffs teams. So that's better than anybody else in the NFC. That's equal to or better than anybody else in the NFC. So right now from the NFC, I have the Packers representing them in the Super Bowl. Then we can take a look over to the AFC. This is an interesting, division. The Chiefs took the 1 seed, 14-2. Patrick Mahomes is still a god. Andy Reid is arguably, in my opinion, one of, not the best offensive coach in football ever. So they have the bye. First matchup we're going to look at is what I think is the most interesting and the only one I think that's going to be close. The 4 seed, the 4 seed Tennessee Titans taking on the 5 seed Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens had a bit of a slump in the middle of the season, but they're coming out hot. Lamar Jackson isn't playing as well as last year, but he's still a great quarterback. Some could argue top 5. That 5th pick, he's playing really well. He's still a good quarterback. People are over-hating him. The Ravens' defense is still a top 10 unit. They don't allow you to score much. But, yeah, they're a good team. The Titans, on the other hand, second or third offense in points per game. Derrick Henry just became the 8th running back to ever hit the 2,000-yard mark. Their offense is dominant, but their defense is suspect. Their defense hasn't been great this year. 2 weeks ago, the Packers in snow absolutely lit up their secondary. The Houston Texans, which have the third draft, would have the 3rd pick in the draft if they had their draft pick, but that's a whole other thing. Just made it close, and I know it's a divisional game, but this defense hasn't stopped anybody. And the Titans beat the Ravens early in the year, and they were injured. But the Titans have the Ravens' number as of late. And Derrick Henry has been a good rusher against them. The Ravens did add Calais Campbell, and they have some ads that are quite well. But this is a close one. For some reason, I just love I think Ryan Tannehill's super underrated. A.J. Brown is one of my favorite NFL players that doesn't play for the Packers. He's just such a stud at wide receiver. He's jump ball, deep threat. He'll run your short routes. He's just so complete. And this Ravens team, they're good, but they've also played some bad opponents as of late. So I'm going to take the Titans. I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to take them. Then we go to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Congrats to the Browns for ending the NFL's longest playoff drought. They finally did it. They made the playoffs, but COVID's got them. Their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, is going to be out. One of the best guards in the game, Joel Bitonio, is going to be out. The Steelers are going to have some rested players, fully healthy defense. Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt. Big Ben, though he's been wish-washy this year. The Browns' defense is awful. Denzel Ward still might not be playing. I just can't take the Browns here. The Browns barely went and beat Mason Rudolph. Both teams are out. Congrats, you made the playoffs. I just don't think you're beating the Steelers. Yeah, they were kind of overrated, and they had a bit of an easy schedule to those 12 wins, but still, I just can't. I hope the Browns prove me wrong, but I just can't. And then we have the 2 seed, 13-3 Buffalo Bills against the 7th seed, 10-6 Indianapolis Colts. Some would argue the Bills are playing the best football in the NFL right now. Some argue Josh Allen's the MVP. Sorry, he's second to Aaron Rodgers this year. The Bills are going to dog walk the Colts. I mean, Miami just had one of the best scoring defenses in the NFL. The Bills just went and hung 56 on them with nothing to play for. Josh Allen has taken one of the biggest leaps from second to third year we've ever seen, which is great for me, who's been claiming Josh Allen was going to be a stud ages. Even if you go back to a podcast that I used to do with 2 friends of mine, Backroom B League, BRBL. If you go to, I believe it's episode 7, you can hear me and my roommate and friend Jake sing the praises of Josh Allen. I've been a fan of his since Wyoming. The Bills have always been and if there's a team in the AFC I like, it's the Bills. I've liked them since they've got Micah Hyde, who used to be a player for the Packers. I always liked. I think the Bills are just going to run over the Colts. The Colts have been wish-washy this year. Their defense was top 10 early in the year, but have allowed the most passing yards in, I think, the past 3 games or something like that per game basis. Jonathan Taylor, though, looking like a stud. But I just can't trust Phillip Rivers at his age and with his arm to win a big game now. I just can't. It doesn't make sense to me. The Colts are a young team that needs to get a young QB, and they're in the right direction. And DeForest Buckner is a problem. I just can't. I think the Bills go out and dominate. So that would put us into the second round, where we would have the 1-seed Chiefs playing the 4-seed Titans. And I'm sorry, Tennessee, this is where your party comes to an end, because as bad a football the Chiefs have been playing lately, they haven't covered a 6-point spread in ages. The defense can't keep up. No defense can contain Patrick Mahomes forever. You have to be able to outfire him. Chiefs defense is good enough. The Chiefs offense is going to hang points all over that awful Tennessee defense. So I don't think they're going to be able to answer for Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman. If he's back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the rookie. Even then, Le'Veon Bell. There's too much on that offense. The Tennessee Titans have no pass rush either, so they're not going to be able to get to Mahomes. I just got the Titans. And then Bills and Steelers, I got the Bills. Bills went into Pittsburgh earlier, smoked the Steelers. The Bills team is only playing better. The Steelers, this Bills defense, their numbers look bad because they had a rough start of the year. Their 2 core linebackers in Edmonds and Matt Milano were out. They're both Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. They're both going to be back. They're both back in here. Tre'Davious White is top 10 corner in the league. Taron Johnson is a great slot corner. Josh Norman, a bit out of his prime, but still a great CB3. You've got one of the best safety duos in the league with Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And then on offense, you have Stephon Diggs, led the entire NFL in both receptions and yards. You have Josh Allen slinging the rock to them. You have Cole Beasley, who's the best slot receiver in the NFL. And then you have guys like rookie Gabriel Davis and vet John Smokey Brown, who can stretch the field, make you play those guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick deep. And the Bills are just, a good football team that I think is going to go win that game. Then we have the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Bills. And this is where I'm going to say it. I will say it. This is where the Chiefs meet their end. I know everybody says they're going to go back-to-back, but until the Chiefs, unless the Chiefs go in and prove to me and the Titans that they can play a full football game, the Bills are going to win. The Bills have been playing better football. The Chiefs are the NFL's worst red zone defense, meaning you are more likely than any other team in the NFL to score on the Chiefs if you make the red zone. The red zone offense is terrible. When you condense the field on the Chiefs, they can't score because they can't stretch the field like they typically do. The Bills are just, I think, not the Bills are playing better football right now. I could easily see the Chiefs winning, but I just think the Bills win. So then you give me the Packers versus the Bills in the Super Bowl. A bit of bias here, and you can say that I'm still going to take the Packers in that matchup. Both of these are playing the 2 best teams in football right now. But Josh Allen in his 3rd year in that big of a stage against a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's been to a Super Bowl before, won a Super Bowl. He's 37 playing. He had one of the greatest QB seasons ever. Matt LaFleur is one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. This Packers team is made to do runs like this. They have a great blend of vets and young guys. I think they know their window's shorter than the Bills, and they're going to play hard. So that is my playoff predictions. Again, I have Saints beating the Bears, Rams upsetting the Seahawks, Bucks beating Washington. Then I have Saints beating Bucks, Packers beating Rams, and then I have Packers beating Saints. And then I have Then I have Bills beating Colts, Steelers beating Browns, Titans beating Ravens, Chiefs beating Titans, Bills beating Steelers, Bills beating Chiefs, Packers beating Bills. Now, if we're just going to go into Super Wildcard Weekend here, let's look at some gambling things. Now, for all odds, spread odds, point spreads, odds, I'm using Bodog, which is one of the few sites that allows Canadians to look at odds and bet if you'd like. So if you're a sports gambler, you can stick in here. If you just want to learn about gambling, you can stick in here. Or if this isn't your just thing, you can skip past this or even just stop listening. I even thank you for that. But one of the games I'm most interested in, and one of the, I'd argue, the most confident bets I'd make right now is for Washington. It's currently an 8-point spread. What 8-point spread means is Washington right now has plus 8.0, meaning they have to at least make the game within 8 points, whether they lose or win. Tampa Bay has a negative 8.0, meaning they have to win this game by 8 points or more. I am taking Washington 8 points all day. And actually, I'd recommend you hold off on this line till Saturday because the more money goes on the Bucs, the higher that line's going to go. Just for some explanation, you can even get risky and bet on the Washington money line. The past two teams with a losing record to make the playoffs have won their games. Playoff teams with a negative record, I heard this on another podcast, are 7-2 against the spread, meaning they've won 7 bets. They covered their spread 7 times and only lost it twice. So if you're a sports gambler, looking to try and make some money this weekend, hit that Washington spread. Not the Bucs spread, not the negative. Hit the positive spread for the Washington football team. Another bet. Right now, the money line for the Los Angeles Rams is plus 155. Meaning every dollar you bet, you win $1.55 over that. So if I bet $10, I win a total of $25.50 because you get your 10 back plus $15.50. That's a bet I wouldn't mind making. If Jared Goff's in, if Jared Goff's not in, don't touch that money line. But you might, if you're at, hit the under. The over/under for points right now is an under 42 points. The Seattle offense is sloppy. The Rams offense might not have Goff. Give me that under. Same thing with the Washington-Tampa game. 44.5 points. Give me that under all day. Because Washington can't score a lot of points. But Tampa Bay is not going to probably be able to score a lot on Washington. So I'd take Washington spread under. LA Seahawks under. If I were you right now going into that Buffalo-Indy game, I'd be taking the 6.5 points on the Bills. The Bills have won more two-score games by 2. The Bills have won their past 5 by more than 2 scores. They've been really good at 2-score games. 6.5 means they have to win by 7 points or more. Excuse me, I'm taking the Bills by that all day. Then you have the Bears and Saints. Risky, but if you're looking to bet a lot, I'd take the 10-point spread for the Bears. They only put 16 up on the Packers, yeah, but that's not really indicative. That's Matt Nagy taking a lot of field goals. They dominated time of possession. I mean, dominated. If David Montgomery's getting going, that 10-point spread should easily be covered. Easily. But there's also a chance the Saints and Alvin Kamara just go out and, do what they did on Christmas Day and absolutely dominate. That's a game I'm not touching the over-under or the money line. I just touch the spread. Final game, Browns and Steelers. Wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Division games are weird. The over-under is 47.5. It doesn't look very appetizing. Nothing about it looks great. Nothing. The 350 money line for Cleveland doesn't look good. The 10-point spread doesn't look good because it could go either way. You could have a close game or you could have pure domination by the Steelers. And then you look at the Ravens game. Money line right now is 155 for the Titans. That's something you could hit. The spread is also +3 for the Titans. And the odds, it's very rare that you have positive odds on a spread. But the odds for the 3-point spread right now for Tennessee is +105. That's huge. I'd hit that. This Tennessee offense is hard to stop. Derrick Henry is a tank. The Packers held him like 98 yards, and that's what people called shutting him down. He's going to go for a roll. Derrick Henry at late in the year is just a different animal. I'd take that 3-point spread and the plus 155 money line in that Tennessee game all day. Just looking at the odds now. Again, this is recorded, I didn't say earlier, but this is recorded Thursday, January 7th at 10:18 p.m. So any of the odds I'm using now could change. But again, for me, I'm taking the Bill. I'm eating the points with the Bills and taking the 6.5. I'm taking, if Jared Goff plays, I'm taking the Rams money line. I'm taking the Washington football team spread and the under. Depending on, I'm probably going to take the 3-point spread or the money line for Tennessee. If you like, I'm probably not gonna take it, but there is a 10-point spread for Chicago you can take easily, and then I am not touching the Browns game with a 10-foot pole. No. Oh yeah. Also under on the Rams Seahawks game looks pretty good. And then if you're looking at college ball, on the 11th, which is Monday, we have the number 3 Ohio State that just came over a huge Justin Fields-led upset over Clemson versus the number 1 Alabama with Heisman winner Devontae Smith. Ohio State plus 240 isn't a bet I like. Alabama is a good built football team. Justin Fields played really well. Again, this is another one I wouldn't touch. The over-under is 75 points because college defense just doesn't exist. Doesn't exist at all. Bama came out of the SEC, which is huge. Ohio State out of the Big Ten. A lot of people call the Big Ten a shit conference. I wouldn't go that far, but normally their playoff teams suck, but they just upset Clemson. Justin Fields is trying to prove himself that he can be that guy after people said that maybe you shouldn't draft him. If you want to bet, plus 240 Ohio State seems like an upset. I wouldn't do it, but that's there for you. That is an option for the Monday college game. And now, moving into news that released today, there's a possibility that superstar quarterback Deshaun Watson doesn't play another game for the Houston Texans. I think this is blown out of proportion, but it has come out today that he is upset with the Texans organization because he was told he would have a hand in hiring the GM and the coach, and they went and hired their new GM, who was head of player personnel out of New England, without his thing. Apparently, the Texans have tried to reach him over the past few days, and he hasn't picked up his phone. He hasn't asked for a trade. A trade would be a long way away, but there's always that possibility. He did also sign a 6-year, $150 million extension in September, so it becomes a harder to move contract player. If I'm the Texans, I'm not trading Deshaun Watson. He's a top 5 quarterback in this league. Just led the league in passing yards this season with minimal talent on offense. Has the 3rd highest career passer rating ever behind Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. The guy is unreal. He's everything you want. I said when he was going into that 2017 draft where he was the 3rd QB taken, to me, he was the best NFL-ready QB prospect I had seen since Andrew Luck, who everybody touts as one of the best college quarterback prospects ever, that the Indianapolis Colts ruined, and they should be ashamed of themselves for it. But anyways, Deshaun Watson's a stud, and if he wants out, it's going to cost a lot. Like 3 first-round picks minimum to get Deshaun. It's going to be insane. I don't think he gets traded. If you listen to the Pat McAfee show and their gambling podcast, Michael Lombardi, who used to be an NFL GM, said if you're a GM, you walk in and he's upset. You walk in and you say, Deshaun, I want you to be part of the solution. I want to keep you here. I want to do whatever we can, and we can go win a Super Bowl. He's 25 years old, just about to enter his prime. Already, a lot of people, including me, I think he's the 4th best QB in the league. I think it goes Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson with Deshaun Watson. I think he's the fourth best QB in the league right now. And the fact that he might be traded is insane. Some possible landing spots could be the San Francisco 49ers, the New York Jets, if they want to give up a haul instead of drafting a guy like Justin Fields at 2 because they won a couple games, and now the Jacksonville Jaguars hold the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. So they could. I don't think he's moving, but it's going to be a really interesting thing to look into. The issue is the amount you're going to have to give up. Like, if you're the San Francisco 49ers, you're going to be looking at, like, giving up a guy like Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. I don't even think Eric Armstead would do it. Another team, the Patriots, is a team. I think the Patriots are the best suited to do it. They have the cap space to take him. If you're the Patriots, you give them a couple firsts, Stephon Gilmore. You might have to give them J.C. Jackson too, but that's a good O-line with Deshaun Watson, and that's still a defense that's going to get Dante Hightower back, Patrick Chung back, a lot of good guys going to be able to play. So that's a team that can move. Again, I don't think he's going to be traded. I think this is being blown out of proportion. The report that Ian Rappaport put out also said he's not mad at the GM hire. This doesn't go at the GM. This just goes at the owner and the way it was handled. I think it's going to get smoothed out. I just think right now it's, the Texans sucked. Deshaun Watson might get traded. J.J. Watt's definitely done. There's no way they're going to keep J.J. Watt's contract. I expect him to be cut or traded. Really, they let Bill O'Brien shit all over that franchise. Like, taking on David Johnson and Brandon Cooks, two of the worst contracts in the NFL, getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, who's a top 3 wide receiver in this NFL. For me, he's number 2 behind Devontae Adams. You could argue he's the best. It just depends on whether you like physicality over route running. It's like, the Jadeveon Clowney trade was handled horribly. Granted, Clowney's always been a super overrated player. Played like shit in the Titans and is now on IR. Wasn't really great with the Seahawks. Overall, Bill O'Brien should have been fired after a 24-point lead was blown in the first half to Kansas City. I know they went on to win the Super Bowl, but if you can't blow that, it was in like a quarter. You blew a 24-point lead in damn near a quarter. You can't do that. And then the fact that he was kept around until 4 games in the season. And then we don't look, the Laramie Tunsil trade, where, you got a pro left tackle, gave up 2 first-round picks to do it. One of those is the 3rd pick in this draft. Miami had 10 wins this year, barely missed the playoffs, and have the 3rd pick. That is nuts. That is stupid. Bill O'Brien ruined the Texans, which means now Deshaun Watson might be leaving. If this guy gets any shot at being an NFL head coach again, that team is stupid. It's like Adam Gase. If anybody gives Adam Gase a head coach job, they can fuck off. Same with Matt Patricia. Stop hiring these stupid retread coaches that don't work. Promote some guys like Brian Dable, Nathaniel Hackett. Hell, go for guys like Lincoln Riley in college. I don't understand. Nick Saban. Don't hire Nick Saban. I don't even want to get into why I think Nick Saban's going to be a bad NFL coach. You can't control these guys. Look at the Panthers. They didn't do great this year, but Matt Rule looks like an amazing hire. Well, the Cowboys went and brought back Mike McCarthy. Look how that turned out. He was shit in his final years in Green Bay, and boy, didn't he stink it the fuck up with the Cowboys this year. A roster that talented should not get 6 wins. That's what Mike McCarthy is. Mike McCarthy is a conservative play caller who Aaron Rodgers carried for years, and when he finally got fired, it showed in green. It's now showed. But it's just a mess. Black Monday had, the Chargers are looking for a new coach. The Broncos are looking for a GM. This offseason's going to get interesting. But for right now, I've got playoff football to enjoy. And I'm excited. I thank everybody for listening to this first episode. It's been super fun. Hopefully later I can get a planned recording schedule, release schedule, etc. planned out. I hope if you have any feedback at all, you can find me at PassProPod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. As well as if you have any inquiries, you can email me at passpropod@gmail.com. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and I'll see you all next time.